This is Ian.
Hey, what's up? It's Senate.
Hey, not much. How's it going?
Well, I'm sure you're familiar with the veteran Jessica Miles and her daughter.
Yeah.
They were using Village for Vets assistance. They were booking Jessica in places that were like bug infested. And she's since been sleeping in the car with her daughter. And so there was a lot of attempts to try to get Village for Vets to help. I actually called Marcy and she answered the phone.
Damn.
And when
Did she stick around?
No, when I said this is Senate and Jessica's on the line, she hung up.
Were you recording that?
The next thing I was going to say is, I'm recording and we wanted to just, but anyway, she hung up instantly after.
But is there upside to, you booking her? I can get some anonymous donor to pay for 2 months in an Airbnb. Why can't they do it? Why can we find someone to pay for it?
Right. I hear what you're saying, and I think I can't help but not consider that because of the situation that she's in, right? So I think that with that said, when she got to LA, when the daughter got to LA, they actually didn't have anywhere to go, and I did book them a couple nights at some spot, and actually what from they say is it's the best spot they've been. But the point is, she recently has just been in touch with, I think it is Path, and they're saying that they're looking for spots now for her, and and then they might book her actually in that original spot that I booked her in. If you say there's a way to put her near the VA, I think that would be tremendously helpful. So and of course, being able to say why isn't Village for Vets doing this when they're getting $1 million+ is a very valid question. The one thing that you might know about is one place that Jessica was trying to go with safe parking. And I think she's being denied from there, or she's saying it's not even open. And she's saying Village for Vets apparently runs that. And Patriot House and Fisher House veterans are under the assumption that Village for Vets is running.
Interesting. So I know for sure that Scott Sale, who used to run safe parking, is very close with Marcy. He was, when I was consulting for Village for Vets last year. So last year? Yeah. Scott Sale joined almost every strategy session meeting I had with their board. I don't know if he's officially on the board or not, but it would make sense that Village for Vets has massive reach when it comes to safe parking because of Scott Sale.
They certainly wanted and tried to park there, and now they're having to park, at other apparently spots, around the VA.
Let me reach out. I'm trying to think who.
But I think the safe parking thing is more of a question. I don't think that's the goal or solution.
Right.
It was kind of just that entity, and then the other two as well was a little bit news to me.
That one is news to me too. But yeah, they have no ownership, lease, nothing with Patriot or Fisher, as far as I know.
The Fisher House has been closed for some time, right?
Yeah, I think so. Because when I dropped the meals off, this is 2018 maybe. But yeah, it's definitely, I don't think has been in operation of any meaningful capacity for, since the pandemic started, I guess.
Right. Okay. Regarding the EUL for the master lease to the principal developer, but there's a part in here where it says, legal description, but that particular document is blank. Are you familiar with what I'm referring to?
Yeah. I believe the reasoning was to leave that blank because all the other EULs that are building or lot specific include the legal description and parcel map so that VA knows and the lessee, the developer knows exactly what part of the land they're responsible for maintaining or upgrading.
But in this particular lease, so you feel it was intentional, but you feel it was in the benefit of the VA or the veterans to leave it blank?
Yeah, honestly, just because of like how far the PD is extending. And I actually, like, perfect. I was going to send you a text later. Someone had called me from VA earlier just to like ask if I remembered something around the Arroyo. So I shared what I remembered, but they were telling me about a call they were on with John Kuhn, who's the new like deputy medical center director at US Vets. And Steve Peck told John Kuhn, he's like, look, I'm getting really tired of VA like not getting on board. I'm out like talking to politicians and in DC lobbying. Like, the point of that story is the principal developer just reaches.
It seems like leaving it blank or saying to be provided gives all of the leeway to the private developer to do whatever they want, and then later have to figure it out, these parcels.
Yeah, but that's why I thought it was savvy. Again, it could have been just gross neglect.
I mean, won't they be going after all of that anyway? Like, right? So it's
right,
like,
but the VA could decide not to turn those over to them if the need didn't exist. Like I said, I'm not sure if it was intentional, neglectful, why they didn't include it, but
I mean,
just from my,
yeah, it's like you have the biggest lease of all time in VA history, and Exhibit A is blank.
Right, and I guess, as you're teasing this out, if they're going to include, if VA is going to include at least 900 units, you would think they would parcel those out, because how else could you calculate that number? Is it just whatever, we'll figure it out later? I don't know.
Right. I guess, is it your opinion or thoughts that someone like Thomas Saffron is able to pocket money in all this, or it's all assets at the moment that he's able to leverage for bank loans and such and credit?
I think it's a combination. I think they're able to pocket money through all of the money they get, whether it be from low-income tax credits, from SIDLAC, from bonds, from VA capital contributions. Like, they're making 10 to 20% at least on top of all of that. And then I think the like out year money they make on the subsidies and vouchers, and once they've recouped their development costs, is significant. But in the immediate, they're definitely making money.
And what's the best way to follow it or track it to show that it's negligence and at the cost of this issue?
I think the CapCons is probably like the most egregious thread to pull. And that's what I've been trying to pull together for you. It's just like, I can get someone texting me like, yeah, they're making overhead. And I'm like, well, that's way more than industry standard. Like, one of them is a nonprofit. And they're like, yeah, I know. I think I might be able to get it on the most recent EUL, the building 156, 157. And I think that's probably the most like poignant example, because then I think you could just be like, put it on a green screen behind you and point to it and be like, how does this make any sense?
Right.
How is the developer, for doing nothing, making 800, whatever it is, the number?
Right. that website, the westlamasterplan.org, if I'm not mistaken, like Andrew or whatnot runs this site. Is it possible to get him to add, I guess, two things in particular, but for one, certainly being the Salvation Army information or parcel?
I'm not tracking them on there anymore, so this might be like after my awareness.
If you see here, 1401 South Sepulveda Boulevard. So there's no reason that this shouldn't be included.
I think it's because they're restricting this website to the West LA campus and not the Sepulveda campus.
No, if you look at what I sent you, it's not Sepulveda. I mean, it is Sepulveda, but it's West LA.
Yeah, so hold on, let me find. I see a baseball stadium.
So
I'm
that
trying
baseball
to
field
figure out where is this exactly on the campus, the West LA campus?
the easiest.
I see where it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting. This is actually very interesting.
And so if you just scroll down though in the documents, and just the one right below the map, that actually number, it would be kind of like page 4, I suppose, or 3 to 4. You'll see there that that's with the VA, and that this lease includes the 2.13 acres for 30 years.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever seen this. In my entire time, like, working on the campus, I had never known this triangle is part of VA in any way. This is wild.
So it'd be amazing to have this added.
Yeah, let me figure this out because this is bananas.
And then the other one would be the C&H tract. So here, let me send you that one. Give me 1 second. Hold on.
Sure, yeah, do your thing.
I mean, really, this one, there's no doubt that it's part of the West LA footprint. And again, it would be amazing to have that website reflect these, specifically that. What is the best way to try to get Andrew to add these kind of things to it?
I mean, I think he's more reasonable than most VA folks. But I think if we are able to just confirm from a CHRP standpoint that they're absolutely there, then we could easily. I could ask Andrew, and if he says no, then we should just submit some sort of more formal request. I don't know what the right entity is, but let me try them first.
Wait, when you say them, you mean the VA and him?
No, I'm saying that these historians just, not that, your information is ironclad. I just want to talk to them so they can be like, yeah, you're right. We flagged it before and VA said no or something.
Okay, the last thing that I wanted to mention, or was hoping that if you are aware, if you know the, I think they're called CERS, CERS, report, and then it has the occupancy and capacity.
Yeah, I know those. At a certain point, it would be sweet if I could get Heidi to hop on when we're talking, because she thinks they're absolute garbage.
What do you mean by that?
And they're not accurately reporting what housed is. They're sort of manufactured data to try to say we met the secretary's goal by housing 500 veterans when it's not accurate data. They're choosing how to define housed. There's no integrity to what's being reported on there.
And if you just do the math on some of these numbers here where they put capacity, right, which doesn't really make sense when they put a percentage, it's half of people.
And also the numbers are pretty appalling too.
Low.
Yeah, super low. Why? There are veterans, their families experiencing homelessness. Either there's no outreach, the barriers are way too high. And
the numbers, without doubt, even on their own accord and from what they're publishing themselves, have consistently gone down since like 1972, actually.
Yeah.
So there's a lease, right, with the VA to the principal developer, right?
Yeah.
And there's then a lease from the principal developer to, I believe it's Century Housing.
So the way they do it is that there's that PDEUL, and then the principal developer team executes a sublease with Century, TSA, or Thomas Safran, or US Vets.
Right, but the principal developer is also TSA.
Oh, yeah. And they create
Wait.
a separate LSP or LP and an LLC.
So, because this is where I'm really confused here. So the principal developers have created another entity that then they are then subleasing to themselves?
Yes, and it's multiple entities. So let me upload the subleases so that you can see how they structure it. They basically just lease it back to themselves, but they set up another LP. So it's like a lot of this stuff I learned way after the fact and was like, it seems awfully convoluted.
Do you think someone like Alan Trin is being like paid or to some degree benefiting from?
I don't think it's a Richard Scott situation. I think it's Brian DeAndrea, Tyler Monroe, and Steve Peck fellas thinking, yeah, we can do this. We can brand it as the best thing ever, and we can get rich as hell doing it. My guess is these folks are doing it broad, like not even with VA. Like they've made a market out of affordable housing.
Because, right, it seems like they've created these paper companies themselves.
Right, like it's just absurd that they have this many companies. It seems very convoluted for building housing for veterans.
I guess if people are profiting though off of this, and money's supposed and land is deeded to be used for a particular matter, I can't understand how that's not breaking the law.
Right. Or not at the very least, it's definitely bullshit. Brian DeAndrea making $500,000 a year, not including bonuses, and, advocating heavily for higher overhead rates. It's like the optics alone are ghoulish bullshit. Like,
I guess
I don't know.
How do we end it or reverse it? Because if the town center is expected, right, I must assume you think it's coming, right? And you don't think it's a positive thing?
Like, I just can't be optimistic anymore. No, I think it's going to be just a nightmare. I don't know if 3 older white dudes are making a collective $2 million and at every ribbon cutting talking about how much they give a shit about veterans with like 45 different companies under each of them. I mean, that just, I can't stand it. It's bullshit.
Well, I think if they are able to pull off the town center, they're going to be selling the land and parceling it and assessing it and charging more and more.
Oh, for sure. They're going to be selective with the vendors, and they're going to be doing all sorts of weird ass deals. Not because of what the veterans want or need, but arguably who the highest bidder is.